Good morning, India, and welcome to Gunner Shot. And today we're going to discuss something, well, interesting and sad. The Pakistani Neros are fiddling when Quetta is burning. Yesterday there was a huge train blast in Quetta, a suicide bombing where more than 30 people officially have been, killed, and more than 100 have been injured, and all of them, and a majority of them are Pakistani soldiers, as I learned. And I'll explain this whole story a little down the line. But at the point of time when this incident happened, you found that Shahbaz Sharif was gallivanting around in China for a 5-day visit, and of course Asim Munir is sorting out issues in Tehran, or he's dealing with the thing. And it is not only Quetta which is burning, it is complete Pakistan which is burning. And joining me in this show today, as usual, is Sree Iyer from, and namaskaram to you, sir. And
namaskaram. Good morning, India.
Yeah, good morning, India. And General 𝗪𝗡𝗏 will be shortly joining us. Before I go anywhere and take off on this whole thing in a great detail, your initial thoughts on this, Sree Iyer, and namaskaram and welcome back.
So, viewers, good morning to all of you. And as always, Mr. Munir, he has a razor-sharp focus how to make money. So, while all this is happening in his home country, he has been trying to negotiate a deal between Iran and the United States. And now some information has come that even though there is a blockade, that 8 to 10 IRGC generals, you can call them, heads, you can call them, these guys have found a way to siphon money off from Kharg Island and making a lot of money. The interesting thing here is it appears that KSA is also in on it, and Mr. Nasim Munir, because he is the one who has set up the whole thing. Okay, so it could be something like this, okay, KSA has a go down, let's say in Bahrain, just guessing, not that it is there. They will go and put it in Bahrain, and they get a phone call. Saudi Arabia that gets a phone call. Okay, so much is in Bahrain in your khata. So they take it and give it wherever that needs to be delivered by IRGC. They are delivering it. The interesting thing is some of these purchases could also be bought by India. So we'll wait and see how that plays out. Because if you remember, General Shankar, last week, Gautam Adani ended up paying $275 million as fine, because he happened to get oil from a source which he believed was a regular one, because it was, I think, in Dubai, and it turned out that it was a sanctioned Iran oil. Luckily for him, they found out on their own and they reported that, and therefore the fine came down a little bit. Be that as it may, Adani has solved 2 cases that were against him in US. My thing is, right or wrong, don't look at it. This is the way, if you want to do business, this is what happens. Biggest companies in United States do it too. That's it. Back to Asim Munir. So Asim Munir is also, it is believed, benefiting from this deal. So this guy has finder's fee, or whatever you want to call it, interlocutor fee between Iran and US. That is going on. And then there is a number 2 oil also is happening. And it is believed that there is a blockade, but it is possible that even some of the US people may be also on the take. Easy money, General Shankar, easy money. For all the world, it is a blockade. But for some, it is a blockade with a difference. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thanks a lot. As you see on the screen, General 𝗪𝗡𝗏 Iyer has also joined in. And we'll now go over this. There are a lot of things happening in this Gulf. And now you see, as things are unfolding, things are not easy, in Gulf. It's all complicated. Yeah. I think 𝗪𝗡𝗏, you need to remove one of the... Right. You have to put one off, Hari.
Put one off.
Yeah. Remove. Okay. Fine. Yeah. Okay. Right. Now with this kind of a thing, so let's get into the thing. We'll discuss what happened in the...
Sorry, there was a problem with the internet today. I had to re-engineer.
Yeah, that's okay. why, what this whole story is about. Then we'll get back to discussing what this about, and I'll go about it. Give a short presentation about what all happened, and then we'll get look. These Neros are fiddling when Quetta is burning. Now, what this all about? It came out yesterday. Yesterday in the afternoon, 23 killed, 640 injured. A whole lot of visuals are on, on the media. I'm not going to get involved with this, right? And the figure will cross. As I said, okay, I'll get to that a little later. Now, when all this is happening, there's an information campaign and a propaganda going around, like from Pakistani handles, that history will remember Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif and Field Marshal Asim Munir as leaders who chose peace over conflict and wisdom over chaos and diplomacy over destruction. Their tireless efforts for regional stability helped avert a major global crisis and strengthen Pakistan's image as a responsible force for peace in the world. This is the eulogization of both these buffoons. One chap is, of course, sitting in Iran, and the other guy is sitting in China. So this is where they are when that whole, and what's happening in Quetta, what happened yesterday in Quetta, is just an indication. We all know how bankrupt this nation is, and if I have to do a program on their bankruptcy, it can go on for the next 4 days. Right. Yeah, there is 𝗪𝗓 with a stable internet. And let me give a background. Let me give a background to this entire thing. This is not the first one. In January, just January of this year, 31st January, Herof 2, an operation was conducted, which was across 12 cities. Right? These are 12 cities which are put out here. And before that, 25, there was the first Jafar Express attack. This is the second attack. And before that, something similar to what I'm showing, Herof 1 was conducted. Now, the Jafar attack expresses, this is the second one, are all attacks on trains. And the Jafar attack is from, Quetta to Karachi. It's their, some kind of a Shatabdi for them in that area. And Shatabdi, Vande Mataram, whatever you call it. It's a prestigious train by which most people move. And that's been hit twice. Now, Op Herof has been done twice already. And in both these cases, much of Balochistan has been hit, including Quetta. Quetta is the focal point. Now, what I was telling you earlier. Now, after the first Jafar attack express in March 25, the Pakistanis changed their routine. Because this Jafar attack is the one train through which the Pakistani soldiers go home on leave and come back from leave or go wherever from Quetta, right? Now, after the first attack, they started using 3 or 4 bogies, take it to a separate siding, and people used to board there. And then, of course, they used to go into, I won't say secluded, secure siding in which all these chaps used to get into the bogie. Now, over a period of 2 years, they established the pattern. Once this pattern was established, right, now this has been hit. They've been hit at a crossing, at some kind of a small station crossing, where this 4 or 5 bogies were going into, not the express train which was attacked, it was just where these Pakistani military people were traveling in this bogie, 4 bogies were attacked. And the casualties are what it is. So it's a bad scene. Now, overall, let me, this is the map of Balochistan as you see it. In the last attack, the first set of attacks around Quetta, Mastung, Noshki, and Kalat, and these are critical in the history of Balochistan and their communication nodes. Right, Mastung has got a tunnel through which, if you cross, choke the tunnel, a lot of things go bad. I mean, going to Quetta is virtually impossible. Noshki is an important district. And Noshki in the last Op Herof was taken over for a week. It took them more than a week or 10 days for the Pakistani forces to restore law and order. It is not only that, they also, targeted Gwadar and Pasni in the last attack in some manner. Now, Gwadar, of course, we know, is one of those great Chinese ports where Pakistan wanted to have an underwater strike capability. And, not underwater. They were filling this port and giving permission to China to have a facility which is part of their overseas first theater command with a great second strike capability against USA. The pro quid quo for that was Pakistan will get second strike capability, and the Chinese blanched at this whole story. Simultaneously, there is this thing around 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗥𝗏, where America and China both have interests in minerals. And incidentally, China has been operating in this area for over 10 years now in a mine called 𝗪𝗏. And now that 𝗪𝗏 is going to run out of minerals in the next 10-15 years. But 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗥 is supposed to be a mineral-rich thing which will last a century out in gold and copper and all that. And that is being given to USA. And they're going to be just 50 kilometers apart. And the Chinese are worried about it. On that, there's doubt. On that score, there's no doubt at all. And in the last attack, this 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 was hit. And 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 is the only place. And 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, the road was closed. The road from 𝗏𝗘𝗏, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 to 𝗪𝗏 is the only road which is available in that area. And that was closed. So you see that, over the past 2 years, the way the Baloch rebels have been acting is no more sporadic. They're doing everything with a plan, with a degree of sophistication which is not normally seen. In fact, if you look at it to the north, Bajaur has been is now out of the control of Pakistan army. And the local people of Bajaur say, where is Bajaur? Bajaur is here. Okay, this is Jalalabad, this is Peshawar, just north of this area. This is just one. But if you see, the entire Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is virtually out of control of Pakistan, really speaking. Okay, and you look at the violence which has gone on. This is the violence from 2020 to 2022. The total people in Balochistan and KP, if you have a look. And 2025 was the most violent year in their history. Right? When I say in the history, in the past 1 decade. And 2026, we are just 5 months into it, is catching up. And this figures which I'm showing, 500 and 600, is less what happened yesterday. So you see this whole place up in flames. Now, what do you see? Militants in both provinces, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan, right? They have transitioned from hit and run guerrilla tactics to holding territory through night patrols and armed highway roadblocks. So there's a transition. What is it? Pakistan is slowly and steadily losing control over that entire area. And the Pakistan army is not able to operate there. They might carry out a few attacks against Afghanistan and all that, but that's it. And when all their entire story is going down the drain, both these jokers are out. Okay, I don't have to say who's done all this. Anti-regime, pro-Baloch people. Is it from Iran? Is it from China? Because all these people have access to grind with Pakistan. And definitely not India. Let me tell you, the first reaction from Pakistan is, oh, this is anti-India. Some people have come out and said, oh, this is Bharat Liberation Army. Bharat doesn't have to be liberated, Pakistani fools. Bharat stands liberated long back. Now you have to do what you have to do for yourself. And right, that's the way I look at it. This is just a outline of what has happened. Now we'll analyze what this whole story is all about. Why is this happening? Is it just the Iran war effect, or is it larger thing? Whatever it is, you heard Mr. Sree Iyer say. I'll now request General Hari Mohan. Hari, your views on this?
Thank you, sir. Apologies for getting in late. Been following this event since yesterday morning. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you're audible.
So we've been following this event from yesterday morning. First of all, when you look at the way things operated from March last year till now, earlier the leave parties used to come to Quetta railway station and board the train. It is after that Zafar Express attack in March last year that they started this new SOP where a shuttle was created from the Quetta siding, and it used to bring the army passengers, and the train, which earlier used to be a night train, started running during daytime.
Daytime, yeah.
So that was one change they did, so that that place through which this train runs from Quetta to Peshawar via Lahore and Rawalpindi. So it is a very important trunk route for Pakistan. It connects 4 corners of Pakistan. So the whole aim was to run through these areas which are heavily stressed under Baloch control during hours of daylight, with a very superior area control dominated by using forces. So you had protected coaches which were kept in the front and the rear, like any military rake moves during mobilization. So it is called the pride of Pakistan. Zafar Express is called the pride of Pakistan because it connects 2 corners of Pakistan, 3 corners of Pakistan. And if you recollect, last year after that hijacking incident, there was a case moved by some people to switch off this train for some time. And the lobby came out and said that if you do that, then Pakistan will be seen as a very weak state, because it would have definitely given more strength to the fact that Balochistan is not under control. So what I was saying was the shuttle used to travel 4 to 5 coaches. It was a regular thing. And the second thing is this Chaman Fatak, where this thing has happened. It's an unmanned crossing. So when you have an unmanned crossing with, and that happens if you look at the similar kind of thing in Delhi, Shakur Basti to Delhi Cant, you have this siding which runs. It runs through populated area. It runs through large number of these small lanes which are not marked and manned. So Chaman Fatak is one of the places which is ideally selected. And the fact that he was able to ram a car loaded with explosives precisely into the second coach indicates that lot amount of rehearsals and planning has been done, which indicates that there is a callous attitude of the Pak security forces, especially in the city of Quetta, despite having one of their major corps headquarters and one of the best defense establishment, the Staff College, is housed in Quetta. So it is a station which is very important to Pak armed forces. And in that kind of a station, if there is a callous attitude in the way which people were being shuttled around, it indicates that there's total lack of internal intelligence. They were more focused in looking at what is happening in Iran, what is happening in Afghanistan, what is happening all around the world, rather than looking what is likely to happen to them within the country. The questions which General Shankar raised, I like to flag a little more. Why now? Why at a time when there is likely to be a deal in Iran? Why now when China has just given the snub to the Americans, and China, like General Shankar says, has got major stakes in this region, especially in the areas in and around Quetta. They have invested big time in the CPEC, and they have a large amount of mining contracts which has been sold to them in this area. Pakistan is very adept at selling the same thing twice or thrice over to multiple vendors, and that is what they have done in this particular case. And I would have used another terminology, but I am refraining from using it for social purposes. But you may like to add it on what I am trying to say. So when you sell the same commodity to three suitors, the suitors are likely to fight among themselves, and since they don't want to fight directly, they can always fight indirectly. Yeah. So
sir, once Asim Munir moves to Virginia area, whoever is in White House will be very nervous just in case it gets sold.
So last year, another thing, after Zafar Express, Asim Munir started wearing a bulletproof vest. Now it is worthwhile to see whether he again starts wearing it, because I don't know, things are not so rosy. Now look at the situation in Pakistan. Yesterday, 𝗤𝗏 Sharif is sitting in Beijing begging for money, and Munir is rushing between Iran and United States. Another interesting thing which I would like to flag is yesterday in the large list of countries and heads, which Trump rolled out in his long tweet. Everybody else was either head of state or the chief administrator. And for Pakistan, he said chief of army. So the US also knows who runs Pakistan. And that needs to be flagged, because our friend is here in India trying to revive things around in the strained relationship of the past year. That needs to be flagged to him, that first stop dealing with military dictators in countries before we create a stable relationship with a democracy. That aside, what I was trying to flag is there is chaos in Balochistan, total utter chaos. They can't survive despite having a major portion of their army in that region. And now they have to rush troops from the hinterland into Balochistan to stabilize the situation. The amount of frontier corps units and formations that they have raised to manage Balochistan is colossal. And all of them are having an effect on Pakistan's defense budget, because ultimately they get paid out of that. The Chinese have stopped. In fact, if you recollect, there were two divisions which were raised to protect the CPEC. One of the divisions, I believe, is being totally committed in saving these assets in Balochistan. And there's nowhere near the CPEC assets. So in this kind, and to add to the woes, one of the divisions from this region has been, pushed away to Saudi Arabia, because that is the only way they can get some bigger money from Saudi Arabia. So Pakistan today, if you look at it, is strained for troops. Its internal intelligence is in a solid mess. They don't know whether to go after Imran Khan and his supporters, to go after Balochistan Liberation Army and its elements, or to go after the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa elements which are fingering them in the north, or the Afghanistan guys who are, fighting around the Durand borders. West of Indus, I was seeing one of the presentation of Pakistani intelligence man. He had painted the entire area west of Indus as red. He has and indicated that by and large Pakistan has little or no control in this complete region, which is a very alarming status, because that is more than half of Pakistan, which means Pakistan's strategic depth is no longer available to it within its own country. All its assets will have to be based east of Indus, which are well within the striking distances of any vector which can be launched from the Indian side. This is not a happy situation for Pakistan. And if Zafar Express is going to become an annual event, as it is appearing to, they are going to have a larger axe to grind. And the standard thing which has come out of complete Pakistan media is it's India who's doing all this, because unfortunately the blockbuster movie Dhurandhar was painted in this 1 year period. So anything and everything that happens in Pakistan will now be, and it's good for us in the sense it tells at least our public that whether we are doing it or not, we have enough control to, create turmoil inside our enemy. And it gives more morale boost despite doing nothing. I can very much assure that we have no hand in this. It's too far away for us to be effective in this nature. And if at all, and I must say this with a little bit of this thing, that if at all India has the capability of doing what they have been claiming India to have been doing, then I believe ISI and all their goons should go home, because despite being a border state, they are not been able to achieve this kind of a value. And we, being so far away from the area of turmoil, are being able to finger them the way they are. That having said, I believe it is international forces which are beginning to play again. It's going to play, it'll be another Noora Kushti which is going to happen in Balochistan between the two big wigs, both looking for minerals which are not there, both looking for oil assets which are not there, and they are going to be doing dirt bashing in this whole area. And interesting times, because suddenly you'll realize that India as a nation will come back into the strategic picture on both sides. And the value of a nation which is a democratic nation with values will come out loud and clear. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I'm going to reserve my comments and analysis for the present. You heard a military view from General Hari Mohan. Now let's hear the non-military view from Sree Iyer. I'm going to put him on the rack, and he's done enough moderating, so I'm going to moderate today. Sree Iyer ji, आप बताइए, what is it? How does this whole story bode for Pakistan as it is evolving? I mean, it's very what Hari Mohan has said is very important. You know, both the leaders are out gallivanting. I will call it gallivanting, managing others' affairs. Your own story is going down. We did a program a few days back where we said, these chaps have lifted panda bonds of 80 billion rupees, Pakistani rupees in China, and the repayment is 500 plus billion over a 15-year period. And someone did that calculation and they said that they've lifted that money for 13 over 13% interest rates, right? And that is only to repay the loan with China. They not to repay the loan; it is to square the interest only. So they're virtually selling the future of this country to others, and they're not bothered about security. They're only bothered about I don't know what. Where do you see Pakistan going, and how do you see things happening? And most importantly, this great country called USA is in bed with them. Over to you, Sree Iyer ji. Can't hear you're muted.
Let's go back and look at history. What happened in 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗿? They never owned it, but they sold it to China. My guess, long and short of it, is that, see, already there is a road access into Gilgit from China. Most likely they'll just say, okay, this is all yours now. Then they say, okay, against that you just write off some loans. But this is also piecemealing of the country. Unfortunately, this is not something that belongs to them. This is something that belongs to India. Even 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗿 is India's, part of the original J&K. Now, how does India deal with this? Will India just say, okay, fine, we'll deal with China at a later time and let them go walk away with it, like they took Ghosthana? See, these are things that India also has to think about. What are the implications of, like, say, China walking in and saying, okay, in exchange for some of these dues that you have to pay, I think 28 billion or something like that is the payment every year that Pakistan has to make to China over CPEC alone. We are not talking about other loans. So it's just gone beyond their capability to even pay interest. That's what we are all in agreement. So this is the next thing. Girvi rakh rahe hain, sir. Girvi rakh rahe hain. They're just mortgaging more and more of their land. And it may not be in name, it might still be Pakistan. But already, see, 2017-18, there were lots of videos about how a township had come up in the city of Gilgit. It's a walled city. And inside that, all signs are in Chinese. And the locals are not allowed in there except to sell vegetables, be guides, or drive up and down, that sort of stuff. This happened a few years ago. It's available on YouTube, viewers. You can go and take a look at it. Chinese camp or garrison in Gilgit. So I have a feeling that's what will end up happening. Already they control what's happening going in and out of their airports, international airports. There are only 2 or 3, Lahore, Islamabad, and Karachi. So slowly but steadily, Pakistan is just going to give away their assets. And the generals, many of the rich people, they all have dual citizenships. They are just taking money out. I am told, General Shankar and General Iyer, you may have more information about this. Every time there is some sort of money coming into Pakistan, suddenly, like, Makhi coming and, looking for, whenever there is honey, all these bees just congregate. A lot of people will come into Pakistan, get their take, and then they vanish back to wherever they came from. This has been known to happen in the past. So the people who are ruling Pakistan have no sense of that pride of being a Pakistani, of their land. They are just in there to make money because they know once this goes away, there's no way they can make any money. It's all done. So they're just plundering the place. That's how I see it, sir. Back to you.
Yeah, so they're plundering the place and they're ruling Pakistan. There are a few questions which are up in the air, and I'll outline some of the issues, and then I'll ask Hari to come in. You see, a lot is being spoken of minerals there. China has been taking minerals from the Chandak copper mine, and Reko Diq is the next one, which they're selling off to USA. As a result, make USA and China fight next to each other, and all that. And it is in this area, like I showed you in the map. After all, it is in this area that this entire story, the attack has happened here. But this is the area of Reykjavik, and they're also trying to sell ports next to each other and all that. If you actually look into the whole, their, the way things have panned out here. This is Afghanistan, remember, and Afghanistan is supposed to have a lot of minerals. Go back to the time in 2023 when the US forces were exiting Afghanistan. What was the story around that time? The story around that time was, look, when after US forces move out from Afghanistan, right, the Chinese and the Pakistanis will build CPEC into Afghanistan. They'll go into Afghanistan and they'll take all the minerals out from there, and they'll build an empire, and this is China's future, and Pakistan will be the vehicle to do all that. And this is just 40 kilometers away. Both Sandak and Reykjavik are just 40 kilometers away from the Afghan border, and the other side of Afghan border also are copper mines, incidentally. Right? So has that happened there? If it doesn't happen there, how will it happen here? That's the question. And with limited resources and what it is. So this whole story is a pie in the sky. And it is very surprising that the Trump administration is taking this bait. And they have chosen one inconsequential company somewhere in Missouri or somewhere who's doing this deal. And there are reports, and as late as yesterday and day before, which I've seen, which say that now there is active negotiation between USA and Pakistan to start doing mineral activity in this area. It is very interesting. And already in this area of Balochistan, I think Pakistan has lost its own sovereignty, and I'll explain why. There are reports, and they're credible reports, that China had already made a deal with Baloch Liberation Army, or the Baloch rebels, to allow them to continue operating in Sandak, and that's why they are continuing. Now, if America also starts doing this, that means virtually both America and China have recognized the BLA. Sooner or later, people will say, why should I pay Asim Munir? Why should I pay Asim Munir? I might as well pay the BLA and declare this independent. Right? And why should this, if this is an independent country, then both those countries can, both the superpowers, so-called superpowers, can deal directly with the local guy, pay him off, take the thing. Why should they bother about Pakistan army? Especially, this is one aspect. The connected aspect to this is that at this point of time, for the past 3 years, from the past 3 years till this point of time, one thing is apparent is the Pakistan army does not operate in Balochistan. It has not operated. The night is with the BLA. They operate only during daytime. They've even stopped running trains during daytime. Then they have
During nighttime.
Nighttime. Yeah, sorry. They only during night. During night, no trains run. There's no traffic on the road. If you are a non-Baloch, you can't travel at night in Balochistan. These are facts, and these facts have earlier also spoken of, and all that. And actually, this is not what I've spoken. This is what the Pakistanis say. That night we can't operate there. Okay. Now, is this the only thing you can't operate? And you got a most prestigious institution called the Staff College, Pakistani Staff College at Quetta. Now, that is like a garrison which is marooned. All this is happening in the outskirts of Quetta. Now, where does it go? The headquarters of 𝗥𝗙𝗙𝗏, which is one of the major corps, is there. The Pakistani, the biggest corps, one of the biggest corps of Pakistan is in Quetta. This happens at the doorstep. This is not the first time. It goes many more. So there is no control of Pakistan over Balochistan. And increasingly, what General Harimohan said, there's very little control of Pakistan on this area of KPK. You just heard one of their own guys saying Bajor is out of control. It is not only Bajwar, every area, Waziristan, ye jo bhi hai, Fata, whatever you take is out of control. And the area west of Indus is out. Now the question which we need to see is, will this herald a breakup of Pakistan? Because I'll say why. It's a repeated question that everyone says Pakistan will break up, it will not break up. I also feel that Pakistan will not break up, but there are conditions are different, because the economic conditions in Pakistan are going from bad to worse. The people are now don't have. I mean, you'll be surprised to know that Pakistan is the most HIV-ridden state in the world today. HIV, where does it come from? From children. Children in Pakistan have got the maximum HIV in the world. So you are looking at social indicators going down. The Neros of Pakistan, Shahbaz Sharif and Wasim Munir, are fiddling around. There is militancy in this area. There is no food, there is no water, and nothing. So where does this whole story go? And Pakistan army has very little control except over Punjab and Sindh at this point of time. So I'd like your views on this, Hari. And then we'll ask Sree Iyer also the same question.
Thank you, sir. Absolutely. Pakistan Army, they were doing this 𝗪𝗔𝗍 series of exercises in these regions the whole time. All their nuclear test sites happens to be in Balochistan. They have a huge amount of security related establishments which are based inside Balochistan. However, in the last 2 decades, definitely in the last 5 to 6 years, but over the last 2 decades, one can see that the signature of Pakistan control of Balochistan has diminished. And that is where I feel that there has been a steady decline. And this decline has not been seen by Pakistani rulers over the period of time, because they were more focused on their areas in KPK and POK and northern regions, because they have over a period of time neglected Balochistan and assumed that sparsely populated huge swath of land which exists is available for them for without any investments. And that is beginning to show now. The strains are beginning to show now. And all this while this was happening, though they claim to have a wonderful working relationship with Iran, there are strained relationship, especially with the Shia-Sunni divide, and the overtures which Pakistan has been giving to Saudi Arabia, and more overtly in the last couple of decades. So with that kind of a thing, there is a little bit of strain with Iran, and Iran can, tweak the pressure along their borders, both towards the north and south. And if you look at Quetta, it is, precariously located between Afghanistan in the north and Iran in the west. So if two-sided pressure comes on Balochistan from two external sources, it need not be India for at all. It'll collapse on its own. And that is what is happening there. That 12 Corps headquarters, which is located in Quetta, has not been able to carry out its primary role for periods of time. I believe even last year during Op Sindoor, 12 Corps did not move. Only some elements of 12 Corps, 41 Division was able to relocate. The rest of it continued to be in Balochistan, which is not something which Pakistan will be happy about. And like I said, to add to the woes, one of their mechanized divisions, which is on the Indian borders towards the south, is currently now in Saudi Arabia, which means that today Pakistan in the southern borders with India is extremely vulnerable. And should there be a situation tomorrow, Pakistan is likely to face the problems which it used to face in the late 70s and 80s, when they found that there was scope for India to turn their complete nation. In fact, Sindh and Balochistan both are vulnerable as far as Pakistan is concerned, and this region actually is important to them on that count. So therefore, I feel it is high time they get their acts together, because there will be a limit up to which this slide is going to be steady. And once it goes out of control, it will spiral out. And once it spirals out, there is no coming back, because their naval and their sea asset, the control of the sea, is all towards the south. See how Ukraine is struggling today. Ukraine, which had Crimea and the entire the Black Sea belt along its southern borders, today is restricted to only one port in Odessa, because it's lost control of that complete region. The day Pakistan loses control of Gwadar and Pasni, they will not be able to survive even in Karachi. It's a known fact, and it's not too far the way things are going. You talked about the northern half of Balochistan, sir. I look at the southern half of Balochistan, which is even more sparsely populated. It is even less controllable by their army, because the army is all located in and around Quetta, because they believe in living in comfort zones. They don't believe in getting into difficulty, and it's a fact. You speak to any Pakistani soldier, they don't believe in doing the hard miles. Even in POK, the turnaround of Pakistan troops is much faster than the way we are turning around along the line of control. So in that count, they don't want hardships. They are, as it is, enough pressures on them from other sides. The Punjabi soldier is not happy serving in Balochistan. That needs to be flagged, and it is becoming more and more evident. The Punjabi-based army is not going to be in control. That's why they are more relying on frontier corps, which are drawn from local resources. So in that count, Pakistan is in huge turmoil, and these kind of incidents, though they get flagged because of the kind of audience it draws, must understand that it is a direct attack on Pakistan army by an insurgent force, and it is not a small one. It is going to create a major problem in their SOP of moving troops. Now, something which they put in place last year is also cracked, so they'll have to now rework it. Yesterday, I was listening to some of the Pakistani people who speak about it. They are now mulling the idea of airlifting troops from Quetta back to Lahore. I don't think Pakistan has the resources. In fact, they don't have the kind of aircrafts to even move civil traffic, leave alone military traffic. So if they start resorting to this kind of thing, there will be huge problems for Pakistan army, and it will also affect their morale. So that said, interesting times, and just waiting for the two Nura Kushti people to get together and claim each other's resources, because the same resource has been sold to two people. That is when the domino will really start rolling.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Now I'm going to ask Sree Iyer an interesting question. Thing is that you see three powers: Iran, USA, and China acting in this area. Look, the BLA wouldn't be able to act the way it is acting without funding, without organization, weapons. All three are required. People say there's a lot of weapons in Afghanistan. Fine, weapons are not a problem, but you need support. And in this area, Iran has interest, China has interest, USA has interest. The USA interest is a created interest. USA never had interest. This is a Trumpian interest. That the mineral deal. Remember that famous photograph of this fellow showing 𝗙𝗏𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 and really Trump looking at it as if it's absolutely. I mean, I won't right. So that kind of a interest everyone has, and let's also face it, we also have an interest in this area. After all, anything of this kind happening, Indian interest is also there. And you see, increasingly, Pakistan doesn't have hold over this area, right? It doesn't have the hold. It doesn't have the capacity to this. Where do you see this whole thing going in this case? Do you think the outside powers, and why are they doing it? Let me put it the other way around. Is Iran doing it to cut, Pakistan wings because of the deal they're getting into? Is China doing it against USA? Is USA doing it against China and Iran? Is that kind of a thing going on, apart from the money and all that? Your view, Sree Iyer?
It's a tough question you asked, Shankar, because this has been This has been happening for more than 15-20 years now. And if you look around, India is supposed to be helping out. Sometime 8 to 10 years ago, one incident happened, General Shankar. The consulate of Pakistan in LA, they have a consulate. The consul general just passed away suddenly. No explanation. They still haven't said what he died of. And the story goes that somehow there was attempt by this person to reach out to his counterpart in India to kind of make a deal. You don't interfere in Balochistan and we will not interfere in occupied Kashmir. India probably said, go take a walk, and something went wrong there. I don't know what exactly went wrong. This guy just dies. So there is something there. India may have a hand. I don't see why not. I mean, if Pakistan says that it's going to cut India by 1,000 cuts, kill India by 1,000 cuts, you give it back to them the same way. Balochistan BLA is a big cut, as a matter of fact. And I would not be surprised if India is also, helping them in some way or the other. Because if you remember, they took over a refinery, there was a army post near Karachi, and they had like 60 or 100 people. And there were 4 BLA commandos that went inside, and they were killed eventually. But it took the elite strike corps of Pakistan to come in after the entire place was completely killed. Just 4 people. And when people went and looked at it, they said, look, this is a professional army. They scoped it out. They knew exactly how to come in. They knew where to hit to cause a maximum amount of damage. So my point in saying all this is, who trains BLA? There may be some people who are from Pakistan army who have taken retirement and gone back to Balochistan and started training. It's possible. But for sustained effort and to put that pressure, right, you need to have something coming in all the time. I'm told that BLA, some of the leaders were being taken care of. I won't say by who, but it's not one of those 3 men you mentioned.
Yeah, fine. So you feel that India is helping them, but from my own knowledge, I definitely know that India is not helping them. Right? India is not helping them. So I definitely know, because this is in the news, that BLA has had a deal with China. Already the Pakistani sovereignty in this place is lost. It is no more this thing. I'll be more interested from Hari to know what is the Iran angle in this.
I was about to.
Considering there are 2 aspects to this. One is the ongoing, negotiations, where Munir is assuming larger than life thing, and second, the fact that Sistan Balochistan, which is the Iranian part of Balochistan, right? This is the area we are talking of. Let me get the map so people understand. No, this area is also Baloch, and this area is also Baloch, Sistan. And this also, they have the internal thing. If you go back 2 years back, there were some missile strikes and airstrikes which were exchanged between Pakistan and Iran, right? And each other's militant camp supposed to be, and nothing came out of it. So there's a huge Iran angle in this whole story. And there's also an Afghan angle in this story. So I want your views on this, Hari.
Thank you, sir. You should also add that there's a religious sect angle to it.
Yes.
The Shia population of Pakistan actually resides more towards the Iranian border. And there are problems. The army primarily is a Sunni army with very limited Shias, and Shias have been marginalized whatever they are. In fact, there has been a study which says a large number of Shia generals are getting sidelined, despite there being a little bit of assurance given to them. And there is a huge amount of discontentment in the army. The point which I would like to flag here is there are 2 people at play. China definitely, because it feels hard done by, because they felt, having gone through the CPEC negotiations, having invested such a lot of money inside Pakistan, they had exclusive control of Gwadar and the area north of it. And they expected Pakistan to play larger ball because, like you said, they are never going to be able to pay the interest, leave alone the invested debt. So, in all possibility, by what China was looking for is slowly and steadily reclaim or reduce the debt or interest rates by grabbing onto value land in terms of company lands inside Pakistan, and create kind of the access towards the warm water ports in the Middle East. As you know, China doesn't have a control of any warm water port east of Malacca. So they are in isolation in the area where so as a superpower they want to have some degree of interest. And that was possibly the reason why they invested into CPEC, which is far away from the BRI. You look at the BRI, there are parallel lines which go along the sea lines and along the land routes, which transcend between east to west. This CPEC offshoot, which came from Karakoram onto Gwadar, is basically a link route between the sea-based BRI and the land-based BRI. And it possibly was identified by China as their interest in this region, primarily to counter Indian interest in Chabahar and that access towards Central Asia. So there were two parallel lines when you look at it. Today what has happened is China feels left out in this complete Middle East this thing, and they are trying to play their game through Pakistan. Pakistan being Pakistan, it is playing both Chinese and US games together, and it's trying to create a kind of a scenario where everything goes through him. It becomes that thin membrane filter, despite knowing that it has got no capability to filter anything. It's basically trying to pose itself as a value between two superpowers, and it is going to get crushed, because when two fast-moving trains come and collide, anything it was in between is going to get crushed, and Pakistan is in that kind of a scenario. I look at Balochistan as the place where this collision is likely to happen. Now, where does Iran come in? Over the last 3 months, Pakistan has tried to become the messenger boy of the United States. I think if you look at it, last year when this bombings happened on the Iranian nuclear sites, there was a lot of chatter that Pakistan had given the United States certain amount of bases, access to bases inside Pakistan. And that was just after Op Sindoor, and there were possibly some assets. I will leave it at that, because there was a lot of chatter on that, even during Op Sindoor in these bases. Because the attack on the Iranian nuclear sites wasn't an overnight thought of the Americans. It was a long plan, and they had possibly pre-positioned some assets inside Pakistan, which got damaged during Op Sindoor. These are speculations which are there. In that count, Iran always looks at Pakistan with a degree of suspicion. So every time, and if you recollect, they don't send Shahbaz Sharif alone to negotiate with Iran. It is always Asim Munir, and Asim Munir with Shahbaz Sharif, because Asim Munir has that Iranian lineage, because his wife has a connection with the Iranian Shia. She's a Shiite with Iranian lineage. So he's been using that as a cover to be the conduit between Iran and United States. But what I believe is Iran has felt cheated in the manner in which their points have been communicated to the United States, and it felt that it has been taken around the country. So therefore, I do not rule out that this could be one of the way of putting Pakistan in its place from Iranian side, that you stop meddling into our affairs, stay out of it. We know how to deal with the Americans. Be a messenger boy and keep conveying messages, and don't try to become a negotiator or a mediator that he is desperately trying to make himself to believe. In fact, yesterday I saw another chatter which is going around, that after the announcement which came from White House, Pakistan is now trying to find a date when once again it wants to come in the larger world space of a scene where he is able to finalize this negotiated settlement, and I don't see it happening in the near future. That said, it is definitely a mixture of all, sir. There must be Chinese intelligence which is involved, because ultimately someone has enabled this kind of an operation. There has to be some degree of Iranian support. And of course, the opportunity which a callous army without due security. There was a wonderful picture which is there yesterday. So you see, after the train has been knocked down, there is a guy standing on top of the train with a binocular trying to locate that suicide bomber. And there was a wonderful fight which came out on the YouTube that जो आदमी जन्नत पहुंच गया है 72 हूरों के पास उसको बाइनोकुलर से ढूंढ रहा है पाकिस्तान का जवान. So that's the degree of security which this army has in war zone. We have seen the way we operate in these kind of areas and how professional armies do. So it is in my mind very I will say just the tip of the iceberg of what is going to be happening in coming times and interesting times.
Thank you so much, sir. Before we continue, I beg forgiveness from our viewers and also General Sree Iyer and General Shankar. I have to go for another program. Thanks once again, and we'll see you again tomorrow, viewers. In fact, tonight there is a gunner site tonight. Both the good generals will be there, as will be 𝗪𝗡𝗥𝗏 ji. Namaskaram, sir. We'll see you soon.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for joining in. Right. And we'll continue with the thing, and I'm going to focus a little on Iran, because I find the Iran angle very interesting. Let me paint a scenario. We know that the deal is going to come to some closure, between USA and Iran. If not today, tomorrow it will come to a closure. Now, the fact is that there is also very clear news, and Trump, knowing his, the way he operates and the way he runs after money and wants to make money on a personal note, and World Liberty Financials coming in with, Bitcoin mining and all that, it has not gone anywhere. And the way Pakistan is trying to neutralize China in this area, fundamentally, you see China getting neutralized. And if America comes and sits here, and the mine is given, and you go back to let me go back to this map, and then we understand this. This mine, if it's given to USA, and if 𝗏𝗏 is given to the port of 𝗏𝗏 is given to USA, virtually you will see sooner or later, with the kind of situation out here, right? USA will deploy its forces here. It's only natural. USA will say there is a Baloch problem, there is Chinese here, there are a lot of things happening, so I'll put my forces here. You just think of US forces being in Sendak and Rekodik area, US forces being in 𝗏𝗏 and dominating the roads out here. What will be the effect on Iran? If there's one thing which in this entire operation which US lacked, was the ability to open this front. Moment these ports are given and US presence is there in these minerals and port and all that, then the ability of US to use ground forces into Pakistan, into Iran goes up. Just think. I'm not talking of now, say 2 years, 5 years, 10 years from now. Right. And I am very sure, the way the deal is going, that it is not as if this regime is going to change. The same regime will be there. The Mullah regime or the Wahidi regime, whatever it is, IRGC regime will be there. And this regime will not be exactly a democratic regime which is leaning towards USA. And it is not as if, let's also be very clear that Iran will give up its nuclear weapons or nuclear ambitions, if I may say. So if they doesn't want to give up the nuclear ambitions and it wants to continue with what it wants to do over the longer period, and we know that Iran plays the longer game. And if American presence is out here present, then it's a danger to Iran. So in this context, I find it very nice and actually a pat answer that Iran has put PLA up front into this area and say, go create chaos out there so that American forces are thrown out. They're not allowed to put their foot down here. Your view on this kind of a hypothesis?
100%, sir. I'm totally supporting it, because Iran will not mind China being in this area, because they have common interests against their common global enemy, that is the United States. The last thing it will want is United States in their backyard, because they are already trying to get the US out of the Gulf, because all the US bases from ranging from Oman in the east right down to Kuwait in the west, or even Iraq in the west, actually literally control the western and the southeastern access to Iran. If he's struggling in the Strait of Hormuz today, to some extent, is because the US has had protracted presence in this region for over 5 decades. So that is something Iran is very, very sensitive about. And it will definitely not want the complete encirclement, because if it comes down to 𝗪𝗪 and the areas to the east of Iran, and if China decides to pull out, then it has to focus on all directions. At the moment, Iran is not looking towards its west at all. It is just looking to the south and the east. And they are not expecting, and it's possibly a signal to Pakistan to detest from giving any access to United States in this region. It's also a signal to the United States also that if you try to come to these areas are not safe for your troops. Ultimately, the US troops are more sensitive to even 1% of the kind of incident that happened yesterday. And they will require a huge amount of protective security elements to even set up bases in these regions. It is also a signal to the United States that don't come here, don't think of buying these mines which Pakistan is selling you, because this area is not safe for you. Because that is one way it can, deflect it out. And I believe it's in my mind, a common Chinese-Iranian common effort which has been put here to reignite Balochistan and tell the United States to stay away. Because since June last year till now, our friend has only been trying to sell this area to the United States, to beg for them to come and put presence. Because Pakistan feels that China has lost its interest in Pakistan, and the 𝗓𝗍𝗫 has gone cold. As long as China was in Pakistan, Pakistan had a degree of security, because it felt that till such time Chinese signatures are there in Pakistan, India will not launch any major offensive or major operation, because it will not like to antagonize China and Chinese interests. The moment the Chinese interests go away, they become vulnerable, and they want to have the United States presence. This is something which Pakistan has learned from the Afghanistan conflict. That moment the United States came and set up bases in Nur Khan and Sargodha and Bahawalpur, especially to maintain the troops in Afghanistan, they felt a degree of security that India will not do anything despite major terrorist actions. And people should understand that large number of people question why the Indian Air Force or Indian forces did not respond to 26/11 in 2008. Please look at the kind of American presence which was there in the same region which we targeted last year. And America definitely wouldn't have wanted its own assets to get into the firing lines. And that is why possibly the pressure came from the United States to the Manmohan Singh government at that time not to engage. So therefore, Iran would like to deflect US out of Pakistan. Pakistan would like to attract USA into its own backyard. So it's a kind of a hit and run game both countries are playing. Both have national interest to serve, because for Pakistan it will reduce its troop commitments in this region, because if China and US sets up its assets there, they will look after the security of that region, and thereby Pakistan will get away by leasing out or outsourcing their security to somebody else. So I do believe it's a signal which has come from Iran, loud and clear signal, and if people in Pakistan don't listen to it, the signal might become it will become louder. Because moment a deal is where I can be rest assured, once this deal is signed, thereafter Iran will get on to sorting out those people which were involved in getting them into this situation. They are just waiting for this deal to get signed, and then they will get on to sorting out these people. Pakistan is in for tough times.
Yeah. So we're going to have some questions. I will take a lot of questions because I hope you have time. Because,
Okay.
yeah, fine. Okay. Hari Mohan ji, in one of the latest podcasts from Adil Raja, told that India and Pakistan have continuous consultations after Op Sindoor. Do you know this?
I don't think so.
I don't
I
think
don't
so.
think
Yeah.
so. There's no direct consultations after Op Sindoor. Definitely hotlines work. The DGMOs on both sides, they do have a hotline, and I don't know how many times it rang. Because I met the DGMO just a couple of months back, and in our consultations, it didn't appear that there have been too many discussions on things, and there's nothing to discuss actually post Op Sindoor.
Yeah, there's nothing to discuss. That's the thing. Yeah. One wonders what does 𝗙𝗪𝗏 Sharif do for 5 days in China, and for that matter, the Field Marshal Munir in Iran for 6 days. Yeah, they're fiddling. Yeah, that's what I tried. They're fiddling around there. When bloody Quetta is burning, it's not Quetta alone; it's Pakistan also which is burning, right? And Pakistan it's a strange country. Today, a lot of people you'll see today in the next 3 days. A lot of people will ask, "What are these chaps doing?" Yeah, we don't have to ask this question. Pakistanis themselves will say, "खाने के लिए पानी नहीं है, पीने के लिए पानी नहीं है, तेल नहीं है, no food." Right, and this country goes around saying we are getting world peace. You've seen that thing, and today also there are a lot of people who are saying, "Oh, we bring world peace." What for? I don't know.
So,
Anyway, yeah, please.
So you must look at what has happened before and after the Trump visit to China. The foreign minister was summoned before the visit, and the prime minister, in my mind, has been summoned. He's not gone there. That's why he's spending 5 days, because large amount of directions will be given to him in this 5 days. Earlier, they were trying to ask the foreign minister to prepare themselves, and now post the visits, directions will be issued to 𝗙𝗪𝗏 Sharif, and in all possibility, he'll be, again asking for money or time to repay debts, and he'll be yielding a lot.
It's not that. It's not foreign minister. Please understand. Zardari was there for 5 days or 6 days, followed by the foreign minister, followed now by the prime minister. Iske baad, I'm sure Asim Munir will go there. Okay, this country is already subservient to China in some manner, and they're subservient to Trump in some manner, and now they will also get subservient to Iran in some manner. We'll see how this whole thing goes. I go with you. Can you do a session on Siachen Glacier, how brave our Jamans are coping with, etc., etc.? SH, we've done that. I had a deep discussion with on Siachen Glacier and how things are there with General Kulkarni. Have a look at it, right? You'll understand the whole thing. Yeah, good morning. We enjoy your analysis on Pakistan because the day you don't discuss Pakistan, the day is boring. Okay. Okay, good morning, sir. After an Indo-Pak confrontation, usually India's deterrence by punishment lasts for how many years, given Munir is far more radical than Bajwa? Your take.
Generally takes 5 to 6 years, but then it's this proverbial Indian saying, "कुत्ते का पूंछ कभी सीधा नहीं होता." So you try your best to straighten the Pakistanis. It won't work because they're basically corrupted. That's the basic problem, and till such time that basic kida is not removed from their head, they'll continue to be it. So we need to regularly. It's something like that. Good old saying that the teacher should give doses of discipline to its students at regular times. I guess 3 to 4 years is what it's going to last.
I don't know. I mean, though you said 3 to 4 years, you look at it historically. I don't know whether we are deterring Pakistan. And I'll explain why. Whatever happened after 71, it took them exactly 10 to 12 years before they started this, problem in J&K.
Punjab. No, started with Punjab.
First Punjab and then J&K. And ever since 99, Op Vijay, they got beaten up badly, we knew. Yet, within a year, they were attacking the parliament. Right? So, where's the deterrence? You did Op Parakram. After that, you see a series of actions which are happening. Whether it's Pulwama, Pahalgam, these are now, what about earlier? whatever, how many attacks they've done and everything. So even now, after post Op Sindoor, whether are they deterred? I don't think they're deterred. It is just that after Op Sindoor, the global geopolitics and the global scenario has taken a change. And they have a situation in Iran. As much, also, we have to give them something that as much as Pakistan is a problem to us, even Iran is a problem to them. If they have to control Balochistan in some manner, they have to deal with Iran in some manner. What manner, we don't know. That's a different story. So, and the way they look at it is, if they have to control Balochistan, the way Pakistan looks, okay, you've got Chinese presence, you've got American presence and all that. Ultimately, to deal with Balochistan, the Pakistan will feel sort out Iran in some manner and sort out India in some manner. Already a lot of people in Pakistan are saying this is instigated by India. Right? So whether they are deterred by punishment anymore is a question mark. I want your view on this, then we'll go ahead.
So if you look at the sequence of even big events, I will put a caveat to it. So after 71 for 10 years, generally there was a lull point, because firstly the army was discredited. It took about 5 years for them to regain themselves. Then Afghanistan happened and they started brewing problems in Punjab. You look at Golden Temple, that is a marquee event. We nipped it in the bud, otherwise it would have blown up hugely. So 81 can be put as one event. Then they waited for another 5-6 years. Then 87, when brass tacks happened. Brass tacks didn't happen out of nothing. It happened because of large number of incidents that were happening between 84 and 86. And we had to, give an answer. We did not possibly go across, but we gave them a sound message. Then from 87 to, let's say, 93, if you look at the Bombay, the Mumbai blast of 92, they are all a set of events which Pakistan was trying to retaliate. And because of the events that happened in the Gulf at that time, India could not show a strong deterrence to it, because the larger world body wouldn't want another flashpoint in this region. So if you see the period between 87 to 99, Pakistan had a free run, primarily because of the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. Thereafter, what happened in Kargil, followed by what happened in Parliament, 2 events, interspaced by about 3 years. 2 major operations by India, Vijay and Parakram, right? Whether it deterred them or not is a question mark. Then post Parakram, 6, 7 and 8, 3 events, 3 marquee events. Nothing could be responded again because of United States pressure in Afghanistan. Thereafter, a lull for some period of time. Restarted with Uri in 2016, then Pulwama, and now Pahalgam. So every 3 to 4 years he wants to put an event. But primarily it is like every chief of army staff in Pakistan wants to leave signature of one event that he wants to claim its glory from. You look at what happened in Uri was Kayani, what happened in Pulwama was Bajwa, and now what has happened in Pahalgam is Asim Munir. So we can expect one event every 3 to 5 years. I'm agreeing with you. Sindoor is not a deterrent. Sindoor is just a signal to say that today's India is not going to stay silent. That's it. So you can, and it's more of a signal not to Pakistan but to the world, that you better leash this stray dog, otherwise the world is going to face this issue of 2 nuclear nations coming into nuclear confrontation.
Okay. Some call Munir as mailman, so carry your documents safely and if need be, convey sender messages. Munir Express can also sing those messages. Well, yeah, okay. This is your namesake who's given that thing. It is just a comment. Bulletproof jackets, but in Pakistan, the army wears metal all over their body. So there is no need for bulletproof jackets. I take your point.
Flag one thing here. Last year in March,
Munir getting a Nobel Prize for Peace recommended by POTUS. That will be the day. But more interestingly, I don't think my view is that after this whole thing, you will see an engineering by Trump, where Munir becomes the president and COS of Pakistan, CDF.
100%. 100%. He'll become a civilian leader. He'll put uniform and
He'll not leave. He'll not be a civilian leader. Look,
he'll feel
if you
also he doesn't have to. He's a field marshal. He
see,
wears uniform.
no, I understand. See, let me put it this way. See, what happened to Musharraf? If you understand, if you analyze what happened to Musharraf, the day Musharraf handed over the baton to Kiani, right? And he continued to be the president of Pakistan. But before that, Musharraf was staying in the army chief's
Army house.
bungalow, army house. He didn't quit. The day he did that, Kiani waited. The first overseas trip of Musharraf as president, Musharraf went out and his house was packed up and Kiani moved in. In a matter of 24 to 48 hours, when Musharraf came back, he was no more in the army house. He was pushed out into the president's house. Within 2 years, Musharraf fell. End of story for Musharraf. And Musharraf was shunted out and he never came back. So this fellow will know that he will never, only Musharraf's dead body came back after that, or his almost at the fag end of his life, like a vegetable. This fellow knows that he'll never give up his post as Chief of Defense Forces. Field Marshal or no Field Marshal, he'll never give up this post and he'll control. And he will become the president and he'll continue to stay in that army house. Just watch as things go by. That's the way
He'll be another Ayub Khan. He'll play the same. He'll play the same game.
Okay. Why is India not taking benefit of fishers in Pakistan? Oh, we are taking benefit. Let's not have any doubts. Right? On that, don't have doubts at all. So, okay. Imagine dismantled a big post, broken Pakistan post Op Sindoor, no Iran war, no help to US, and no praise of Munir by Trump in China put in its place. It will not happen, Satish. That is wishful thinking. Okay. The Baloch Liberation Army has formed a naval wing called the Hamal Maritime Defense Forces and claimed its first maritime strike against Pakistan Navy in Gwadar. Well, it must be a small thing. Any views on this?
It must be an extension of the Iranian speedboats. Primarily, it is something they're trying to create some degree of turmoil on the Pakistani coast to prevent the American Navy to come into those regions. They may be using the Baloch signal because they don't want to show themselves in Pakistan. But I don't think Balochis have the capability to have a naval wing as of now.
Okay. India is India not making a mistake by not assisting BLA? Pakistan has been sending terrorists into India for ages.
It is not easy. That's what I said. If somebody is attributing all these events in Balochistan to India, it is not easy. People get carried away by fantasies. You have to transit hundreds of kilometers in between. There is no connectivity between Indian borders and Balochistan. And it is not possible to keep this kind of insurgency brewing by remote control. You have to have a presence in that region. And it is not easy to have presence in a region which is not connected to you, unlike Pakistan. Pakistan has that luxury. China has that luxury because whatever is happening in our northeast is happening through Myanmar, which is a surrogate state. So in that connect, I don't think Iran is ever going to give us that kind of foothold to be able to create these assets inside Balochistan. So let's not get into that fantasy that India is playing this game. Yes, we will also, वो कहते हैं बहती गंगा में हाथ धोना, तो अगर हमें मौका मिलेगा तो हम हाथ जरूर धोएंगे, but गंगा हम नहीं बहा रहे हैं.
Okay. Is India not making a mistake by not assisting? No, this is. Wouldn't you give it to Munir that from a breaking Pakistan, he's got them till here? History says many have ruled civilizations if they use military force tactfully, he's extremely dangerous.
I must say that Pakistan is, whatever it is blessed with one thing. It manages to put very, I will say, I won't call him capable, but I'm calling devious kind of guys as the chiefs. You look back, the only two people which don't, if you look at some chiefs which happened between 92 and 99, between 𝗤𝙑𝘓 and Musharraf, you don't come to know who are the chiefs, because those are the people who possibly were to a degree professional soldiers. But you look at Musharraf, you look at 𝗤𝙑𝘓, you look at Kayani, you look at Bajwa, you look at Munir, they are all people from the same stable. They are cunning people, deceiving people, and people with a very large degree of strategic thought. And let us give it to them that they are able to put such people, the chiefs of their army. And that is how their army, despite being under so much of stress, is still managing to survive in a turbulent nation like Pakistan. So that's like you can say 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗥𝗏 for Pakistan, that they have been able to identify such generals as chiefs, and they want them there because then the politics get subdued by the army, and the army controls the entire story. Munir has definitely put Pakistan back in the global map, and there's no denying the fact. And it is, I don't know how many countries know General 𝗪𝗡𝗻𝘀 Dwivedi as Indian Army Chief, but Munir must be known to more than 300 nations in the world as
He's an
Pakistan.
international figure, all granted.
So the degree of defense diplomacy in Pakistan armed forces is much, much higher than a normal armed army. How many? I don't think many people who are listening to you know who other than General Kane, who's the guy running the show in the United States. Nobody knows. So there it is.
Okay, why would US want to enter from the east when the population centers live in western Iran?
You always want to create pressure positions in the places where you can do. You don't want to go and bang yourself with your head on the wall. So it's always better to create some degree of trouble to force the Iranians to react to areas which they are not accustomed to.
Okay, why some Indian leaders like RSS leader and former COS want dialogue with Pakistan?
I did a show, not of brickbats on it, but I still maintain when there are two nuclear armed forces, you can't just close away all degree of communication. Maybe track 2, track 3, track 4, any number of tracks we can work on, any degree of levels. You need not to be overt, but you need to have communication going, because I always recommend, there's a wonderful movie on Netflix called House of Dynamite. People should go and watch it, where one rogue missile can bring the end of the world, because the response will become catastrophic. So therefore, there needs to be a degree of communication, and we can put them in place despite talking to them. You don't have to be, मैं तुमसे बात नहीं करूँगा वाला issue. You don't have to be overtly communicative, but some degree of communication is required. Whether it's official, non-official, I don't believe in this 𝗔𝗍𝒻𝘀 𝗪𝗓 track at all. It has to be a stern kind of a communication at some levels, and maybe strategic leaders at both ends can have some degree of communication.
Yeah, at some point of time you have to communicate. Now, to communicate, you need a channel of communication open. The moment you start to open a channel of communication, some communication will flow. The only thing is, yes, it's for the RSS leader and for the next chief of army staff to talk about it. Maybe was not the appropriate way of doing things. But at some level, you have to start, and how you start it, how a nation does it, is up to the nation. Right? It's up to that, whether it's track 1, track 2, official, unofficial, Aman Ki Asha, whatever it is, some communication. After all, even water is communicating. Even water flowing from Indus is communicating. Water flowing from Chenab from India to thing is communication. So you need communication. Whether these two people who spoke the way they spoke is good or not is a matter of judgment. We leave it at that. Personally, I don't think we should. Both these people should have spoken. It should have been some inanimate character who's speaking from some inanimate way, and instead of getting it into the focus. Why I say this is, the moment these two people spoke the way they spoke, the Pakistanis got on to the idea that there's a division within the government of India. When a ex-chief of army staff and the head of, or the future head or whatever is an important functionary in the RSS say that we want to talk to Pakistan, they felt that it was an official thing that finally India has started talking to them, or now India wants to talk to them, which they felt is a great victory for them. So to that extent, yes, but otherwise somewhere you have to start talking. That how to do that we can see later in this thing. Right. I think we've had a terrific. Any view on this or anything else? And otherwise, we'll close.
I totally agree with you. Like I said, I also agree that, but I believe that was a very casual remark when you listen to what 𝗪𝗡𝗪𝗂𝗍𝗍 𝗓𝗪 said.
No, the point is this. No, I go with you, Hari. The point is how the signal is picked up. That's all. You can be casual. Like you and I talking about it, people, there are fallbacks. But someone more important who's in the hot chair or an ex-chief speaking gives the wrong signals. That's about all. It's a matter of how you signal. There are two issues in this whole story. One is signals and the other is communication. The signal which you give out of the communication is the issue.
I only feel I hope it doesn't get back to the Aman Ki Asha track, because that is totally counter.
No, Aman Ki Asha and all is out of question. I don't think it'll be allowed. I don't think it'll be allowed also. So we'll leave it at that.
I really hope so.
Yeah. At the end, thanks a lot, Hari, for having joined in. I'd like to thank everyone who's we've had a long session on Pakistan, which is good. Right, and understanding, because what's happening in Pakistan affects us without doubt. What's happening in Pakistan affects the Pakistanis even more. Only thing is that they're not looking at it that way. They're looking at it as patching up the whole world when their whole country is tearing internally. Right.
I will like to end by yesterday I saw a wonderful cartoon. I think I'd saved it. I'll show it in the evening. It was a crack on the road, and Pakistan was trying to patch it with a band-aid. A crack on the road being patched with a band-aid is what is happening in the world today.
Yeah. So we'll leave it at that. And join us in the evening. We're going to discuss something very interesting, and that's relevant to India. We're going to talk of India and this whole story of Rubio here and Quad meeting happening and Xi and Xi Jinping and Putin and all that. So till then, have a great time, and thanks a lot, Hari, and Jai Hind to all of you.
Jai Hind, sir. Thank you very much.